Donald, you're finally in 4K and you look so handsome.
Fuck your sound machine, Zach.
I want to thank you for leveling up finally. Thank you, Daniel, for assisting him.
It's my pleasure.
This will be the first episode ever, I believe. Maybe there's another one of Fake Doctors, Real Friends that we can put on YouTube in high resolution. I'm not loving my hair today. I wish it was better for this monumental moment.
You look great.
I know, but there's like a center part. No one likes a center part, Donald, Daniel, Joel.
Alfalfa?
The Zennials do.
Who does?
Yeah, the
Gen Z is all about the middle part. They don't like a side part.
Nah.
I have so much to
George
talk to you guys about.
McFly loves
Alfalfa.
Yes,
Alfalfa. I went to Game 7, guys, and I don't think I wanted to say what's.
I don't want to.
Why, you're mad that your friend got to go to Game 7?
No, I'm not mad that you got to go to Game 7. I'm mad because of the outcome. Yeah. You put the fucking juju out.
Oh, you're going to blame it on me? You're going to blame it on me?
You're the one that said, look, guys, let's hope for a Game 7 because then I get to go.
Right.
I said,
yes.
Fuck Game 7. Let's win it in 6. That's the way to go. And then all of you guys were like, no, come on, Donald. Don't you want him to go to Game 7?
Well, in this story, I'm the reason they lost.
You, in my story, in our story, in the you and I story, you are the fucking reason they lost because you just had to go to a game, didn't you?
Well, I really like going to MSG.
To go.
I got to tell you, you're going to think this is crazy because of my whole history of not loving sports. But I got to say, I really have fun going to MSG. I'm a regular now.
It's a great stadium.
I think I might be going tomorrow to the
not
Rangers
a stadium,
game.
But it's an arena.
Oh, whatever. All right, fine. Arena.
I think I might be going to the Rangers game tomorrow.
Nice.
Fun.
The Rangers were all
You're
seated
bad luck for New York. Every game you go to, they lose, yo.
You're such a
bringing
hater.
that Jersey shit up in there, man. Bringing that
You're
Garden
saying
State
I bring
shit.
You're saying I bring New Jersey energy that's ruining New York's
that
teams?
bridge and tunnel crowd. You bring that bridge and tunnel crowd.
For those
to
of
the
you who
Garden.
don't know, that is a New Yorkers' negative term for people who don't live in New York. They call us bridge and tunnelers.
Yeah, because you claim New York like it's yours, but really, you got to take a bridge and a tunnel to
Not
get up
me.
in this motherfucker.
I don't take any bridge or tunnel to get to Manhattan. That's where I live now.
When you were younger, this is how you know. This is how you know. Motherfuckers would be like, where you from? And you'd be like, oh, I'm from New York. And they'd be like, oh, really? What part? Oh, well, really, I'm from Jersey. I'm from like right across the river. That's how all you Jersey motherfuckers be acting. And don't act like you don't. I grew up in New York City.
I know.
And I know how you talk.
I know, but do you agree now that I'm a proper New Yorker?
You're a transplant. I'll give you that.
What the fuck are you talking about? I've lived here since like 99. I mean, I'm officially a New Yorker. And
You
a
are.
LAer.
Okay, I'm about to say, what are you? Are you
I
a
pay
New
taxes. I pay taxes in LA, which I guess means you spend 6 months, right? That's how they figure out where you're supposed to pay taxes.
Yeah.
Wherever you spend 6 months, you have to pick. You have to pick. So I think I spend 6 months and a day in LA at least.
I love New York. I'm not gonna lie.
It's so fun right now, dude. It's 80 degrees out. People
nice.
are fucking happy, right, Daniel? You know.
Mm-hmm. I got the t-shirt on. By the way, we're matching, Zach. Did we call each other before this?
I know. I just changed into this. I went and bought a t-shirt.
Are
because I was
the
short.
ladies wearing short shorts right now?
Everyone, the men are in their tank tops. The ladies are in their sundresses. Everyone's got a little bop with their iced matcha.
Is the jiggle out?
Everyone's jiggling.
There we go.
You would
Can't
love
go
it.
wrong. You can't go wrong when the city's jiggling. When the jiggling is, I'm gonna tell you something right now.
Go ahead. Tell
LL
us.
was right.
What did LL
When
say?
it's jiggling, baby, go ahead, baby. That's all I gotta say.
Everyone is it jingling or jiggling?
Jiggling.
Everyone's jiggling. Everyone's feeling themselves.
Oh yeah.
There is an energy, right, Daniel? You know it. You feel it.
I feel it very much so. I was walking around Greenpoint earlier today, got my Radio Bakery hat, and it was nice. It was nice. People were definitely feeling it.
Where's Greenpoint at?
It's in
That's
Brooklyn.
You grew up, you're bragging about your New York status, and you don't even know where Greenpoint is.
It sounds very caucused.
What does that mean?
What?
Caucasian?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Not what that word means.
You made up a word for whiteness? Caucus?
Caucus.
I went to dinner with Johnny C. McGinley last night.
How was that?
In New York? He's in New York too?
Yeah, Johnny came to New York for an event he's doing, and we had a really fun dinner. I'm going to try and bring him to the Rangers game tomorrow. Wouldn't that be
He'd
fun?
like that. He's a Rangers.
He would like that.
No,
I know,
he's a
hockey fan.
Detroit Red Wings fan.
He loves hockey, and I think I'm trying to get us both into the Garden tomorrow since, I'm a regular now. I got the hookup. I found the hookup.
I'm going to tell them that you're a fucking bridge and tunneler.
You need to be nicer to me because there's going to come a point where you're going to want my MSG hookup, and I'll be like, I don't know.
No, I've seen your seats. I'm good. I think I can do better. I can do better.
Really? Listen to you.
Really? Yeah, really.
As
a New Yorker, I
don't have like Spike Lee seats. Are you saying that you have like Spike Lee level seats? I don't have that.
I've sat on the floor a few times at MSG.
You know that meme where Mariah Carey says, I don't know her?
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen when you try and get my MSG hookup.
I'm not calling your MSG hookup. I got
all right.
some people
I just want you to know, if and when a time comes where you're like, hey, Zach, can I have your MSG hookup? I'm going to do the Mariah Carey. I don't know her.
Okay. So the next time you try and get tickets to an MSG event and your hookup doesn't come through, I'm going to pull the Celine Dion shit on you.
What's that, Celine? What's that?
Where she rolls down the window to listen for a second, doesn't like what she hears, rolls the window up, and the car drives off.
I was sending Donald pictures of all they call it Celebrity Row, all the celebrities that were on Celebrity Row. They had Tracy Morgan, Ben Stiller.
Tracy Morgan was up in there.
Ben Stiller.
Brian Fellows was in the house.
Jon Stewart. Who else was up on
Jason
Spike Lee, of
Bateman.
course. Yeah, well, there were lots of stars in the house, but on Celebrity Row, I didn't. Was Bateman on that initial like Spike Lee row?
I don't know.
Yeah.
All I know.
Anyway, it was fun. It's a blast.
You jinxed. That was not a blast. That game was horrible.
Yeah, the game was horrible, but I'm not going to take credit for it. I'm not going to sit here and say it's my fault.
But it is. But okay. We should probably get the show going. We got
you guys, we have a big show today. We have Billy Dee Williams, the legend. We are so excited and honored that he's decided to come on the show. Donald, we need to talk to him about his illustrious career, not just being Lando.
Oh, no. I'm a huge fan of his, actually. I followed him for a really long time.
And you guys have something in common in that you both came up and began very young in New York City as actors.
Yes. I'm excited.
All right, here we go, everyone. Donald's going to count us in, and then we're going to bring in the legend, Billy Dee Williams.
5, 6,
Here's
7, 8.
some stories about a show we made, about a bunch of docs and nurses and a janitor who loved to hate. I said, here's the stories that you all should know. So gather around to hear our Scrubs Rewatch show with Zach and Donald.
Well, welcome, Mr. Billy Dee Williams. It is such an honor. Thunderous applause for the living legend, Billy Dee Williams. We're so honored to have you on our show. We know that you are out and about talking about your new biography, What Have We Here? Portrait of a Life. Thank you so much for joining us on Fake Doctors, Real Friends.
Oh, thank you for having me.
One of the fun thing for us that's a connection, I don't even know if you remember doing it, but Donald and I were on Scrubs for many, many years, and you did a very fun cameo for us. Do you remember doing that?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I use the footage when I do these conventions.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's so. Is it me screaming? Lando Calrissian.
It's that moment. Yes. You are hysterical, Donald.
You are. Your reaction is hysterical.
How are you? How are you anyway?
I'm well, man. I'm really well. Thank you for asking. The last time I saw you was at Celebration, I think, in Chicago. That's the last time I saw you.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I got a picture from there too, and we look good together, man. I'm not gonna lie. We look real good. Like I would say father and son. Just gonna put it out there. For those listening.
Nice to hear. Thank you.
Billy, do you go to a lot of those? I mean, obviously, you're known for so many roles. One of the most popular is, of course, Lando. Do you go to a lot of those conventions and see the fans? Because I know fans are just so excited whenever they see you.
Yeah, I've done quite a few of those over the years, and I have a good time. It's fun. It's enjoyable. It's always nice to meet people that have given you a lot of support throughout the years. I mean, if you relied on the people in Hollywood to give you accolades, you'd be in a hell of a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
So it's nice to go out and meet the people who've given you, all this support throughout, as I said, throughout the years.
Do you ever have people come up to you and just ask you, like, what's up with? I remember Bingo Long as a kid. You know what I mean? That was one of my favorite movies as a youth, about Negro League baseball. It was you, Richard Pryor, James Earl Jones,
right?
And you guys were playing baseball for the Traveling it was Bingo Long and the Traveling All-Stars. I remember this.
Bingo Long and the Traveling All-Stars and Motor King.
I remember I remember watching this movie thinking this is one of the best movies ever. And this came before, a lot of your stuff came before. So we could start with Brian's song if you want to. But all of the stuff that you did before Lando, I remember when you did Lando, the way my parents reacted. They were from Harlem, not from Harlem. They moved to Harlem from, one from DC, one from Springfield, Massachusetts, and they wound up in Harlem, and you are a legend in Harlem. You know what I mean? You are a Harlem legend. I have pictures, I also grew up in Harlem. I grew up in Hell's Kitchen as well, but I grew up at the National Black Theater in Harlem, and that was where I got my start at a very young age. And I just remember when Empire came out, we all went to the movie theater to support you. I'll never forget that. I will never forget myself, Barbara Ann Tier, my mom, my dad, everybody. We went to the movie theater to support you. And we didn't really even know you. You were just somebody from the neighborhood that was a legend. You know what I mean?
Oh, really?
Yeah, 125th Street and 5th. National Black Theater. Do you know it?
No, I have no idea. I never heard of it.
You're breaking my heart, Billy Dee. You're breaking my heart.
But Billy, you and Donald had that in common, in that you both were very young, getting involved in the theater, right? I mean, I read that you started in your first play was at 7 years old.
Yeah, I was in a Broadway musical when I was 6.5, 7 years old. My mom got me started in show business.
How did that come about?
Well, she was an aspiring performer. She studied opera for many years, and she had great dreams of becoming a movie star. But of course, in those days, that wasn't really possible. And she was working at the Lyceum Theater in New York City at the time for Ben Boyer and Max Gordon. They were the Broadway managers and producers. And they were doing this musical by Kurt Weill at the time. You know who Kurt Weill is?
No.
Okay, well, he wrote Three Penny Opera with Bertolt Brecht.
Oh, wow.
He wrote the music. And they were doing this musical, The Firebrand of Florence, and they were looking for a little boy to play this, the page boy to the Duchess. And the Duchess was being played by Lotte Lenya. You probably have no idea who she is.
No.
Well, Lenya was married to Kurt Weill. She was the original Pirate Jenny in Three Penny Opera.
Oh, wow.
They were looking for a little boy to cast in this role. And they realized that my mom had this little boy. And so she had me audition. They took me down to the theater to audition, and they had me. There was George S. Kaufman, John Murray Anderson, and all of these notable people at that time. And they had me walk across stage 1 time, 2 times. And they said, Billy, that's fine, great. But I became really enamored with the whole idea of being on a stage. So I decided I wanted to do it the 3rd time. And they said, no, that's okay. Well, I insisted, and I started crying. So I always said I cried my way into show business. But that's how it kind of all started.
You knew right away. You knew at 7 years old, I like this feeling. It's funny because Donald and I have that both in common too. My first audition was at 8, and Donald, you started way younger.
I started
with
at
commercials?
5, actually. I was doing. I remember traveling to Seattle, Washington, with the National Black Theater, doing a play, "When the Lion Roars," that we wrote with our teacher at the time, and it was one of the things that. I was homeschooled until 3rd grade, so a lot of my introduction into education and community was through theater, which sounds amazing. It sounds like what your life was. I find it really awesome when kids can be hold themselves accountable at a very young age. That's a very powerful thing for a kid to have, a very powerful tool for a young child to have. And I think that's really awesome that at 7, you knew exactly what it was you wanted to be.
You think it's a powerful tool?
Yeah, it is. I think
Listen, I had one experience, and I was very happy that I didn't have any more experiences.
Really?
After that. I think kids should just simply be kids and go to school and interact with other kids.
That if they want to do that,
show business, they end up like Donald here, ridiculous, boiled.
I did all right. I thought I did all right.
I think you did great.
Now, Billy, you went to LaGuardia High School?
No, well, LaGuardia, it wasn't LaGuardia at that time. It was Music and Art High School.
Yeah.
It became LaGuardia when it was joined with performing arts.
And when you were there, I know you just said you didn't want to do any more child acting, but did you do any acting in high school, or did you focus on painting?
Well, yeah, I was a painter, and that's why I went to music and art. My sister and I. So painting was pretty much my focus at that time. I didn't start back doing the whole show business stuff until I was like about 18, 19 years old, somewhere around there.
And then is that when you realized that's what you wanted to do? Like what changed? What flipped?
No, I just sort of followed my instincts, and I followed what life was handing me in those moments. So I was busy running around trying to make out with a lot of ladies.
I was about to say, man, you at that age, at 18, 19,
yeah.
You were one of the handsomest motherfuckers on the planet. You know what I'm saying? 100.
After I left the Music and Art High School, I went to a school called the National Academy of Design for the Fine Arts. I spent 2 years on a scholarship painting. And I was, when I was about 18, 19, I was nominated for a Guggenheim, and also won a Hall Garden, which is comparable to a Guggenheim. But that's pretty much what I was doing at that time. And then somehow my life sort of segued back into the world of theater.
When did you realize that you were being considered for such, I mean, obviously you must have known that people thought of you as a very handsome man. That's not happened to me or Donald.
I'm waiting for my.
It hasn't yet happened to us, but we're wondering when you realized that you were such a sex symbol to people.
The moment I walked out of the room.
So how did Cult 45 come about? Like, what happened that all of a sudden you were like, you know what? This is because I remember those commercials as a youth also. I remember the Bull. I remember you. I remember Works Every Time. I remember. How did that come about?
Well, they asked me to be a spokesperson for 45 at that time.
Did you know that it would go that long? But so when I look at like Zach and I, we work with T-Mobile right now. That's the brand that we do a lot of really cool commercials with and stuff like that. We look at it like we're happy that the contract is still going. Did you know back then how long your contract was going to be? Because that malt liquor owes you a debt of gratitude. You're the reason why it's sold.
Everyone
out
wanted
the
to be
fridge.
cool. Everyone wanted to be cool.
You know
like
what I mean?
It lasted 10 years, though, but I don't know. I just did it and I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun doing it.
All right, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with more Billy Dee Williams.
Well, you can take a look at one of my paintings here.
That's
I've been looking
beautiful.
at it this whole time. It's gorgeous.
I love it. Do you still paint often?
Well, I'm not doing as much as I should be doing, but I still work at it.
It's really, really beautiful. Do you ever show your work in a gallery?
I've shown my work at a number of galleries throughout the years, but not recently.
Yeah, I really like that one behind you.
But I have like over 300. I'm in my studio right now, actually.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
But I have over 300 paintings stored away.
It's wild. Can you tell us about the one behind you?
Well, this is a sort of, in some small way, is expressing something about my sister, my twin sister, my deceased twin sister.
Thank you. Another gigantic moment in your career was the legendary Brian song, which I remember being an enormous moment in television. I believe it like broke all records. You wrote that down. Joelle wrote down for us what the record was.
50 million live viewers.
Yeah, 55 million Americans tuned in to watch Brian's song, which I don't think is something that's happened very often on the planet. What do you think it was about that film that resonated with so many people?
Well, I've always regarded that whole experience as an act of love. It was one of those rare, special moments in my life, or anybody's life, really. I don't know, it just resonated with people. It was a beautiful love story between two straight guys. It had all of the elements of pathos and fun, and it was about two guys who from two different backgrounds coming together in a really beautiful, wonderful way, which has always been very difficult for people to express. I mean, the racial differences, the ethnicity differences, and it worked. It worked because, well, I think for one, Jimmy and I had a great chemistry, and it's so that really people responded to that. I don't know. It was just a beautiful story.
It makes me think of Donald and I in some ways because our characters on Scrubs were not only best friends, but the show allowed us to show emotion that even in the year 2000s, people still were not. It wasn't a common occurrence to show two straight guy friends being so close, being so open with their love for each other. It kind of it feels like it's a similar thing. I don't know, Donald, if you've ever thought about that.
Yeah, sports does that though, man. Sports has a way of touching people. This was actually a real story, and if if I'm correct, the
Yeah.
monologue you do at the end of the movie is verbatim. I mean, it was like it must have felt like doing a play. You know what you know what he said. It's documented, and now you're playing this character. Did you and James ever hang out after that? Like, I mean, God rest his soul. But were you guys buddies after that? Because the chemistry that you have in the film is amazing.
No, actually, we're two different people. He was more of a gangster. I'm just a sweet little boy who sort of lives a very quiet, very loving. Not that he was loving in his own way, but we were not. No, we were not compatible when it came to hanging out with each other. No.
He really was a gangster. I've been listening to this book on audio called.
Well, he was from Queens. I was a Manhattan boy.
I've been listening to this audiobook that's about the making of Godfather, and it's called "Leave the Gun, Take the Cannoli," and it's incredible how he knew the world. It seemed like he was very familiar with the world of the movie, and then when he got the part, he went even further in to do quote unquote research, hanging out with the fellas.
With the gangsters? No, he was. I think he was. He was pretty much a part of the Las Vegas group, I think. But I think that's. I mean, I've known a lot of gangsters in my life, but I'm not a gangster. I think he was much more into that kind of lifestyle.
What now? Brian's song, it's amazing. You went from one enormous thing to the next because Brian's song was such an incredible phenomenon, and then when you joined the Star Wars world with Empire Strikes Back, I mean, nothing could have been bigger than that. Was that a big life change for you when all of a sudden you're being recognized, I'm sure, everywhere you go?
I mean, all of the movie roles came after that too. Like, so many movie roles came after that.
Well, I did a lot of movie roles. I mean, a few. I mean, Lady Sings the Blues.
Blues, great movie. One of my favorites.
A movie called Hit, which was a kind of an interesting movie. And there were others. I expressed a lot of it in the book because of the kind of exchanges I've had with the people that I've worked with, which I thought were pretty interesting, and it was kind of part of a life lesson. But anyway, no, I don't know. Your stories are a lot more interesting.
I know, but our audience is so bored of hearing about our stories, Billy. That's why we have to have interesting people like you on to tell us, because Donald and I have shared every anecdote in our lives so far.
Well, I've had a pretty extraordinary life.
Yeah, you have.
You have.
Unlike most people, I think, starting at a very early point in my life. My life, to me, is a very eclectic. I always say I see myself as the full spectrum of colors. When I did Lando, for instance, when I heard the name Calrissian, I thought, wow, that's interesting. It's an Armenian name. And I thought, well, now let me see what I can do with this. And then, of course, when I got the Kate, that sort of solidified everything. I was into the Errol Flynn realm. So I put those ideas together and I came up with what I thought was a bigger than life special kind of character.
Well, he's my favorite character in the whole universe. That's who I identified with growing up, and I appreciated. I mean, I've seen a lot of your movies actually. The one you did with Sylvester Stallone, where you guys are Night, where you guys are chasing dude through the subway and all of that stuff. Rutger Hauer, yes.
He was probably one of the best
bad guys ever in the history. Yeah. And then you and Richard Pryor did a few movies together, but Bingo Long and then Lady Sings the Blues, I think, your performance in that is amazing. Bingo Long is one of my favorite movies as a kid. I really enjoyed that movie. my dad really, it was because of the way my dad reacted when he watched the movie and the way my mom reacted to you guys. It was like three legends. The three of you guys together is, you know, I mean,
well, that movie was in my opinion, a very special experience. At the time when Paramount was distributed the movie, they thought they weren't very accommodating in the sense that they didn't know what to do with a movie about a bunch of black guys running around the country playing baseball. So, but I always felt that at some point or another, that movie would have resonate in a very interesting and historical way. It was a lot of fun to do that movie. I really enjoyed it. Not always because of the actors I was working with, but we worked with real baseball players from the Negro Leagues, and that was a lot of fun. It was very interesting. My father and I used to go out and watch them all the time in Central Park. We used to go out and watch them, the Cuban baseball players.
Yeah.
Like way back in the day, before you were born.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, that was my dad and I's bond was sports. You know what I mean? If it wasn't Bingo Long and the Traveling All-Stars, it was the Fish That Saved Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? Like that was, that's how my dad and I expressed love for each other when we were kids and when I was a kid. And so the fact that it's going to sound crazy, but the fact that Darth Vader and Lando Calrissian were in a movie with, and Richard Pryor was the comic relief in it. I just thought I couldn't fathom like how the world, like as a youth, how is this put together? How did they make this happen? And I was kind of young when Lady Sings the Blues came out, but then as a grown up watching it, I mean, you personify cool. You are what, a lot of these cats out here are trying to do now. You gonna let my hand fall off? Like there's so many amazing moments in that movie. And, I wonder, do you and Diana Ross ever still talk? Do you guys say hello to each other every once in a while?
Well, I run into her every now and again, but
you guys had magic too. Like you have, like your chemistry.
We had a great chemistry.
Yeah, man.
It really worked very well.
Donald, you kind of touched on it, and Joel too. Billy, for Joel and Donald are massive Star Wars universe fans, and I just thought you could just speak to a little more, both of you, about what it felt like to see, an African American man entering in and being one of the leads in something that you were so passionate about. And Donald, you've spoken before about how you felt like you saw yourself entering the world of that space.
Well, Star Wars didn't become Star Wars until Lando shows up. You know what I mean? Star Wars was watching, a bunch of white people run around with blasters and stuff like that and guns, and it was cool and stuff. But then when Lando shows up, it was like, oh shit, I can be in Star Wars too. And he gets to fly the Millennium Falcon. Okay. Well, and that became one of the reasons why I became an actor, because I knew at a very young age, there's no way I'll be able to do all of that stuff in real life. Fantasy is the way to go, and for me, it was that. And I didn't see myself until that moment. And then as an adult, the decisions that Lando Calrissian has to make, those are real life decisions, real big boy decisions. And, I would react the same way. I would, it's just, I don't know, man. It's one of those things.
You wouldn't turn Han Solo in, though, Donald.
I would turn Han Solo in a heartbeat.
To save Cloud City?
To save a whole city of people.
Okay,
Are you
don't get all worked up.
That's like you saying to me, dude, I'm coming to New York. And I'm like, all right, come through. But I know that when you get there, you're probably going to get arrested by the cops. And I don't say nothing. Because if I say something to you, they're going to probably arrest me. But if not only are they going to arrest me, they're going to fucking destroy the whole city that I'm.
So you don't fault Lando for his.
Hell no, he did the right thing. He protected millions of people
in Cloud City.
And no, and Billy Dee has the greatest line ever. Nobody died.
Well, I love how passionate you are about it, and I'm sure, Billy, you run into people that are this passionate about it all the time. It meant so much to so many people.
It's all very interesting.
I didn't know that you studied with Sidney Poitier, man. That's
well,
new.
He was at one point he was teaching. This was just prior to his whole life changing and becoming a big movie star. So
you and him were working together before the fame.
Yeah, well, I knew Sidney. Well, there's a 10-year difference. I'm 87. He was So when he passed, I guess he was about 86. But anyway, I knew him through friends of mine back in those years, and he was at that time, I think, with the another company. I don't know if it was your company or some other.
No, he was with the Harlem Actors Workshop. That's something. Yeah. That's not the.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So and he was, I think, working as a dishwasher at one of the restaurants on 125th Street, somewhere around there. But he did one television show, I think, called A Man Is 10 Feet Tall, and then that same television show he ended up doing with John Cassavetes. It was called The Edge of the City. But he was, I guess, in a sense, the chosen one at that time in those years. So he was quite brilliant. And the thing I always liked about Sidney was that he was very much a part of the new genre of actors at the time that were involved with Stanislavski and Boleslavski and the method and all that sort of stuff. He brought a whole new spirit, a whole new way of approaching acting as far as black actors were concerned.
Were you heavy into method? Were you heavy into method?
Oh, very much so. Yeah, I'm part of that generation. So anyway, he was quite inspiring. But there were others too. There were people like Juana Hernandez. There were people like Frank Silvera, who was one of my favorite actors at that time. As far as I hesitate to use the term black actors. They were, to me, just simply wonderful, brilliant actors.
Did you ever get to work with any of them?
Never worked with Sidney, never, except, through teaching, his teaching. Never worked with Frank Silvera, never worked with Juana Hernandez. No, but I always had a tremendous admiration for the way they approached the craft.
What do you credit, Billy, to you looking like you're 45 years old still? What is the secret? Because Donald and I complain about our wrinkles, and we're 49 and 50, and you just look so incredible. And so many people don't stay as lucid and clear and work and have the full life that you have. I mean, is there anything you look back on and go, you recommend people do to have longevity like you?
Well, you just live a debauched life, and
Did you say live a debauched life?
Yeah.
Debauched, yes.
Okay.
It's nature, not nurture, right?
Yeah, or both.
Or both, okay. Or both, okay.
Well, you look incredible. I want to remind everyone, Billy's book is called What Have We Here? A Portrait of a Life, and it's on shelves now. Billy Dee, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. We really, really appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. Have a wonderful day.
You
All
too.
our
Thank
love.
you, sir. Thank
Stay
you.
well.
Thank
You
you.
too.
Bye.
Be blessed. Thank you.
An
Wow.
icon.
What is he, 89?
87, I believe.
87 years old, man.
Mm-hmm.
But he looks amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, he doesn't suffer fools. He was like, you want me to tell a fucking another Lando story?
Right.
No.
Fuck
I'm
out
not
of here.
telling anymore. I'm not telling any more fucking Lando stories.
Donald, you tell the Lando story for me.
Yeah. He's like, I'm 87 years old. If I have to tell one more fucking Lando story.
Listen, right.
But it was really cool. And I just, you know, it's he's such a legend. And I was just happy for you because I know that what an impact that movie and that role.
His career is very much like mine, and you could hear it in what he was saying. You know what I mean? He called Sidney the chosen one. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There are a bunch of people, you know, that as an actor that you sweat. You know, he's, in my opinion, I think it's a blessing if Sidney Poitier is the actor that you sweat. You know what I'm saying?
And you got
It
to
is
learn from him. That's cool.
Yeah. I think it's a blessing. You know what I mean? And, you know, I was very lucky to get to work with a lot of my idols. I got to work with Denzel. I got to work with Billy Dee Williams. I've got to, you know what I mean? These things don't happen. And in hearing his conversation about his life, he didn't get to work with the people that he wanted to work with, you know, that that inspired him.
That's
you know?
interesting. You're right.
And so I just from listening to him, as much as he inspired me, I realize how lucky I am to, you know, get to do the things that I want to do.
Yeah.
That's one. And two, you know, as you get older, you can't just focus on this acting shit for the rest of your life, man. You got to find something else to satisfy you. And he's so lucky and blessed to be able to fall back on art. You know what I mean?
By the way, that's
him.
a thing you guys have in common too. That you know, you do your animation. He's, you know, painting sounds like it's just been his lifelong passion.
Yeah. Since I guess it's what he wanted to do instead of being an actor. And you know,
I wish I had something like that. I need to pick something up like that.
What about photography?
No, I do. I shoot a lot of pictures and I love photography. But I lately I've been thinking as I was listening, I was thinking of his love of painting and you know, your love of animation. I'd love to have something that I, you know, whether it's, you know, playing the piano or something that I can fiddle with in my house besides my Peep.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. Fiddling with my Peep is one of my favorite things to do.
I know you're very good at it.
Very
skilled.
I'm a master at fiddling.
I
with
can't
my
do
Peep.
that now because I have a really bad tennis elbow.
Hold on.
Heard.
What does your elbow have to do with fiddling with your Peep?
Well, fortunately, it's my left hand that's really bad. So unless
sorry.
I'm doing the stranger, I'm fine.
I was about to say. No stranger for you.
Daniel, you were going to give me some tips for my tennis elbow.
Yeah.
By the way, audience, I learned as a fake doctor that I always assumed that tennis elbow had to do with you're playing so much tennis and your arm hurts. They just call it that because it's the muscle on the back of your forearm that gets strained. But Daniel, what do you do for it? Because mine out of the blue hurts.
Sure.
Am I just hashtag getting old?
Hashtag getting old, but don't worry, I'm suffering from it as well. So, you know, it's hardly a old thing. But my doctor recommends that you do more lifting, more strengthening of that spot. I know, but, you know, the reason it's called tennis elbow.
It's so sore right now.
Well, it comes from that muscle. You know, for me, it's the kind of like explosive motion of, for me, throwing a frisbee. And if you play tennis, it's swinging a tennis racket. And if all of the exercise on that is just from this kind of like explosive motion, you're really working that muscle really hard. At least that's what I'm learning. So doing some sort of lifting to strengthen it. I got this ice sleeve on
the internet. That helps.
The sleeve is good. I have a compression sleeve that I wear whenever I play.
No, this is an ice one. You put it. It's the jelly. It's that jelly material,
sure.
And it's a sleeve, and you put it in the freezer, and then you slide it on, and it feels real nice.
I'm sorry, bud. I'm sorry your elbow hurts. I'm so sorry, you guys. Your elbow hurts, but you lost me just now. Me and the rest of the audience just went like this.
No, there are listeners out there who have occasional tennis
There's
elbow
like
pain.
maybe 4 listeners right now that
No.
are like, I agree, Zach, my
There's
elbow
plenty
does
of
hurt.
times. There's plenty of times where you're talking about some fucking video game no one gives a shit about.
Exactly.
I bet you more. Daniel,
Yeah.
how quickly you turn on your time.
I know that
How
no one gives a shit
quickly-
about what I'm talking about. Hey, at
How
least I'm aware that no one
quickly
gives a
you
shit when I'm
turn
talking
on
about
your
whatever.
time.
Plenty of times where I just lean back in my chair and let you all talk about some fucking bullshit video game.
I know I mentioned Ultimate Frisbee, and I'm really talking to 2 of our listeners.
Ultimate
No.
Frisbee, by the way, was
Ultimate
invented.
Frisbee, you got a bunch of stoners out there listening to us.
Hell yeah.
There are a bunch of people that are like, yo, fuck, it's 80 degrees in New York right now. I'm going outside to fucking throw some
Yeah.
Frisbee.
Yes, sir.
in Sheep's Meadow.
Some
And you know, it was
Ultimate Frisbee.
Well, I think I've mentioned this. It was invented at Columbia High School, my alma mater, which you can Google if you don't believe.
Joel Silver, I believe.
Did you play Ultimate Frisbee?
Daniel, Daniel, did you? I thought
Yes.
you were asking me.
I played in college, and I still play now. 3
Do you
times a
play
week.
Frisbee golf ever?
I play Frisbee golf sometimes. Hit a disc
My
golf.
brother-
Well, can I
very
ask you
into
guys a
Frisbee
question?
golf.
Because I've never played Ultimate Frisbee. What is it?
Sure.
Soccer with Frisbee.
Yeah. Basically. Yeah.
Oh.
And it kind
You
of
can't run with it. We can't run with it when you have it. You
Correct.
gotta
Gotta pass
toss
it.
correct.
Yeah.
Kind of plays like soccer and football, where you throw it into an end zone.
I mean, but first step
Oh,
is
so
you
there's
get
no
very high.
throwing it into a
There's no goal.
Well,
No.
This is the-
any time you play any freaking game created in a meadow,
Mm.
of
Yeah.
a field,
Mm.
Yeah.
like hacky sack and or frisbee,
Mm.
you got to be high first.
The
Well,
first
what the fuck
step
are
of
you doing?
You
the
know
first step
it.
of Ultimate Frisbee is you pull the bong hit.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
Then
You rip-
step 2 is
Right.
you meet your friends at the park.
You know, support.
No. Step 3, when you get to the park, you smoke a little bit more.
Yes, and then once
Bring
you've
an apple.
Yeah.
once you've gotten to the park, you pull another bong hit.
Yep. Supporting evidence
And
for this.
Then
There's no better rolling tray than an upside down Frisbee. No better.
Ah,
There you go,
it's
everyone.
got high walls.
you
so it
don't
makes
lose
sense.
your shit.
Mm-mm.
You don't lose your shit.
Stays in there.
All right. Well, everyone, that's our show. Thank you so much. I really appreciate Billy Dee coming on the show. He's 87 years old. He doesn't have to fucking talk to us. But
Yeah,
he,
but
he took,
you know,
he
he
took the
did.
time.
He
took
did,
the
though.
time.
Yeah.
He
And he
did.
got a book. And you guys should all go out and read it.
Yeah, go check out his book. I bet you in the book he expounds. Expounds?
I think
Yeah,
that's the right word.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
I think that's
Joel,
the right
I want to
word.
thank you for. I want to give you your flowers because not only did you get us Billy Dee Williams, but you also did a wonderful job producing this segment and helping us navigate all our questions. And I really appreciate you.
It's my pleasure.
And Daniel, you're fine too.
Thanks.
All right, everybody, that's our show. Donald, do you have any final things you want to tell all these lovely people? Do you want to thank them for tuning into our podcast?
I do want to thank them for tuning into our podcast. I also want to thank Billy Dee Williams
Yes,
for
thank you,
being
Billy Dee.
such a wonderful guest. Thank you very much. I feel like I know you more than I've ever
Yes.
known you before.
And we are honored. We know that you're 87 and you don't have to suffer fools, and yet you suffered our fooldom.
Our foolishness.
I wish fooldom was a word.
It
I mean,
can be.
who says it
is now.
isn't? You
Do
just
you
made
want
it
to
up.
come? Do you want to come with me and Johnny C to the Rangers game tomorrow night? I know
thought
someone who can
were
get you
gonna
in.
I thought you were going to ask me something completely different.
What did you think I was going to say? Do you
You
want to
said
come with me and Johnny C?
Do I want to come? And I was going to say absolutely. 5, 6, 7, 8.
Stories about a show we made about a bunch of docs and nurses and